All right. Well, welcome to the undergraduate student guide for grad school. We're really excited that each of y'all are able to join us today. Today we have, I think, a really wide-ranging group of speakers to help kind of provide some insight about what the admissions process looks like, what to think about as you're applying to graduate school, and we're really excited for each of them. So we have folks from stats departments, from biostat departments, from master's programs, PhDs, from the East Coast, from the West Coast, from the Midwest, all over. And so I think, we are very thankful for each of the folks who have been able to join us today, and we're glad to have everyone. So just kind of in terms of scheduling, so you can see the schedule online on the NIST website in terms of just when the schools will be speaking, and just so what we'll try to do is we'll have reserve the last kind of 5 minutes or so of each presentation for questions. But as the speakers are talking, feel free to enter questions into the chat, and we'll try to address those in the 5 minutes. All right, so we have a really packed schedule today. So we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. And so the first group that we have is George Washington Stats, and we have Dr. Tapan Nayak, who's going to be kicking us off today.
Okay, greetings everyone. Okay, thank you all for attending this event, and I thank NIST, Megan and Samuel for organizing this and including us in this program. I shall try to give you a quick overview of the department and our graduate programs. The department was established in 1935 as the first department in a College of Arts and Sciences in USA. We have a very long tradition of statistical education and research. Consequently, we also have a very large number of alumni, many of whom who actually hold high positions in industry and government, and our alumni have served as the president of the American Statistical Association. We have strong connection with the major statistical agencies and the Washington Statistical Society for a long time. We played a major role in the local area, in the statistical activities over here. Presently, Professor Judy Wong, who is extremely well accomplished and well recognized, is our department chair. We have 16 full-time faculty members plus 3 associate faculty. We have about 80 graduate students, very strong research programs. The student community is very active and very vibrant, and we support them all the way. And because of our location, we also have highly trained and experienced adjunct faculty. They're not just good in theory, but they bring a lot of practical experience into the classroom. We get a lot. You can get a lot of information at our website, okay, which you can find quite easily. Okay. This slide actually has some material from the website. If you go to the website, there's the kind of things that you will see there. So I'm not going to go through any of this. So I just wanted to get you a sense of what you will see there. Okay, as I said, we have a diversified research program. Our faculty are actively researching in many different areas, and some of which are listed here. And again, I'm not going to pause here and read all of this, but this just gives you the sense of what we are doing, what kind of areas we are researching on. Okay, the GW advantages. There are some of these advantages. One is that our students get individualized advising and full access to faculty. Okay, they can access the faculty anytime they want to. They get opportunities for building good leadership and communication and other skills through the GW student chapter of the ASA and other student clubs. And these clubs and the chapters, they get full support from the department. Our students get excellent opportunities for networking with alumni and working statisticians at many of the local agencies, and also there are local companies and the Washington Statistical Society. We provide good career coaching and assistance for finding internship and job opportunities. This is kind of another page at our website where we give information about the master's program, which I'm going to discuss very briefly next. The master's program aims to prepare students to enter workforce or PhD programs in statistics and related fields. Our courses are very rigorous and quite balanced in theory, applications, and computation. Okay, we do emphasize all three aspects of statistical practice. The program is highly flexible and customizable, and I'll tell very quickly about this. The students can actually create their own concentrations to fit their personal goals and ambitions. And it is also well suited for both part-time and full-time students. Okay, and also we give an option to earn a data science certificate, which is in the next slide. Okay, the MS program, it requires 30 credit hours. Only 6 credit hours are mandatory. The remaining 24 are electives, and the students can take up to six courses from other departments. Not 6, 6 credit hours, 2 courses from other departments. We also offer this option of MS, the combined program, MS in statistics with graduate certificate in data science. It requires 36 credit hours and fits very well in 2 academic years. Okay, the certificate program by itself requires 12 credit hours, but we double count 6 hours. So students can get both with 36 credit hours. Okay, our students have had excellent success in getting admission in the PhD programs with funding. Okay, they have gone to many different places. Some have joined the department itself, and they also found jobs at many of these important places, the companies and government organizations, World Bank, IMF, and so on. Here's another page from our website where we give information about the PhD program. The PhD program provides training in both theory and applications, and also it is suitable for both full-time and part-time students. And I must kind of take pride in our dissertation research. Our students are doing very high-quality research, and they are publishing papers in the top-tier, very, very top-tier statistics journals, including Annals of Statistics, JASA, Statistics in Medicine, Statistica Sinica, and so on. Okay, so the funding opportunities, the full GA or graduate teaching assistancy, these are available to full-time PhD students. It includes a fellowship or stipend plus full tuition award for up to 18 credit hours per year. This is guaranteed for 5 years, of course, subject to satisfactory performance. And one of those 5 years is guaranteed university fellowship with no TA duties. Okay, and they also get health insurance, so the student health insurance through university support. These packages are not actually available to master students, but the college has been giving generous partial tuition awards to the master students. This last year, many of the students got over $12,000 in partial tuition award. Okay, and for the PhD students, so they are doing very good research, so it's not surprising that they are having excellent success in placement, whether going into academia or industry and so on. Okay, and internship. So you can get a lot of information at many of these links. This is our department website. From there, you can go to the master's and the PhD programs. And some of these are actually college websites. The last one is the one you go to when you want to apply for admission. Okay, you can contact us. I'm the master's program director. So anybody has any question about the master's program can actually contact me. For the PhD program, please contact Professor Ingley Lai, who is the director of the PhD program. At this point, we'd be happy to take any question that you might have. Okay, I don't know. The students, I think we'll have to ask questions by chat. So anybody has any question, we'll be happy to answer. We're leaving some time for answering questions. Okay, if there are no questions, I have to mention. Yeah, go ahead.
Great, thank you so much, Dr. Nayak. We do have one question in the chat. Are there any scholarships for international students for the master's program?
In the master's program, yeah, that's a good question. Okay, and this student, whoever is interested, should contact me because I want to send some information. Maybe Judy can quickly find the link, or I can post the link. Yeah, so for certain countries, we have what is called the Global Scholars Award. Okay. Anyway, by the way, the tuition assistantship awards, they're given to everybody. Okay, there is no real distinction between domestic students and international students. But for certain countries, there are about 10 countries, named countries. Okay, for those countries, there is a special award. Okay, that's like, $20,000 a year for every year. Okay, yes, Judy has posted the link there. Okay, and that actually has the list of all the countries that are covered and what is awarded there. That's a very, 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 very important award. Okay.
Great. Thank you. There's a few more other questions, or several questions coming to the chat here. So, maybe kind of two related questions here. So, a question from Sophia: can we apply for both the PhD and master's program? I'm assuming this is simultaneously, or maybe at least in the same year. And then a related question: can a BS holder in statistics apply for the PhD program? And so I'm guessing the student is asking whether an MS is required to apply for the PhD program.
Okay, so yeah, I can see some of these questions here, and I don't think one can apply simultaneously for the PhD program and the master's program. Okay, I'm not too sure about that, but if anybody has that interest, can let us know. If we know, then actually we can share the information among ourselves and we can consider both admissions. That can easily be done. Even if formally one cannot do it, informally, I mean, if we tell us, we can certainly do that. Yes. Can BS holders in statistics apply for PhD? Yes, you can. Okay, but you have to keep in mind that the PhD admission is quite competitive. Okay, so if you have a very strong record, then of course you can do that. Okay, you have to think, why, not just GW, any university will select a student with just undergraduate degree as opposed to somebody who has the master's degree. So basically, you have to show the potential. I think I can speak for, practically any other university. Okay, so if we see, the student has strong potential, very strong, then of course, we'll give the student a chance. Okay. Is it recommended to find an advisor in advance for PhD program? Okay, my personal answer is, okay, first answer is no. It is not necessary that you do that. And personally, I will tell everybody that maybe you should hold off on that. Okay, yes, you have finished your undergraduate or even master's. You have some ideas about what you want to do with your life, what area you want to choose for your dissertation. Okay, but maybe there is more to learn. You go to the department, get to know the department, get to know the faculty, their research areas. Okay, right now you might think that you want to do time series, but once you go there, you might choose a different area. Okay, you might do biostatistics or some area, survival analysis. So there is no real need for doing that. Okay, yes, for the funding, the full packages, there is no distinction between international and domestic students. Okay, so the international students get the same consideration. for those packages. Okay, let me see other questions. How many applications do you typically receive? I don't know if English can speak, but I can tell. I think we get about close to 100, maybe 80 to 120, depending on the year, applications. How many we accept, that also varies from year to year. Let's say year to year, and depending on how many are graduating. So typically we have been admitting about six new students with funding. Okay, sometimes some students join without funding also. Okay, because they might be working at say Biostatistics Center, or they might be working at some places. We have some part-time faculty, part-time students too. And by the way, I should tell that this Washington DC is an excellent area. Okay, the students who don't know, who are not sure whether I want to go for PhD, okay, or I need a little bit more time, Washington DC is excellent area. Come to DC, come to GW. There are a lot of jobs, particularly government jobs, and not just that. Washington DC, this Washington DC area is now a major hub for IT industry. Amazon has big office here. Okay, for biotechnology in the Maryland area, suburb, there are a lot of biotech companies and defense contractors. The Lockheed, the Northrop, okay, General Dynamics. So Washington DC, it used to be kind of a government town. Okay, only government jobs. Okay, no, that has changed long ago. Okay, so now the government has a big presence here, of course. Okay, but the private industries have also developed very, very significantly. So yes, I would encourage anybody who is considering, who is not sure what to do, I need more time. Yes, take your time, come to DC. Okay, you can find a job quite easily. You can find a job quite easily. And we have a good program. Okay, I think there are a lot of questions. Let me see how many more I can answer. What additional opportunities? The PhDs have a lot of opportunities. One simple thing is that the PhDs in our department, they all get jobs, good jobs. The master students sometimes, particularly international students, honestly, some of them require a little bit more time. Okay, it's not true that they're all getting jobs before graduation. Some are getting jobs before graduation, but some need a little extra time, maybe another 2 months, 3 months.
All right.
No, GTA is not there. Okay, I don't know if my time is over, and I'm sure that many of these questions will come up, for the other universities also. And I think many of the answers should probably be quite similar. Thank you all again for listening. Thank you all for participating. Do I have more time to answer, or if I have,
I think we might need to move on, but thank you so much for sharing about the stats department at George Washington. And if you have, I know we have a few more questions in the chat, but as you can see, Dr. Nayak and Dr. Lai have their emails up here, and so you should reach out and ask if you have any additional questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Yep. So we started in Washington, D.C., and now we're going to go to the state of Washington to a department that's near and dear to my heart. And so we have Dr. Rodriguez and Dr. Noye from the stats program and the Biostat program at the University of Washington.
Thank you so much for the invitation and the introduction. Hopefully everybody can see my slides. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about our graduate programs. So let me start just by saying who we are. So we are located in beautiful Seattle. and very close to downtown. So I think that what you're seeing there is Lake Union, and you were just, in some sense, just across the water from there. You can see some of the beautiful pictures from the campus, in particular, the cherry blossoms during spring are beautiful. University of Washington at Seattle is fairly large university, about 31,000 undergraduate students, about 16,000 graduate and professional students, about 18 different colleges, including medicine, public health, and law, and basically everything that you can think of. It's also a pretty diverse college. It has about 60%, and I think these numbers are mostly for undergraduate students. 60% international students, about 8.4 Latinx students, 26% Asian American. And one thing that I think we're very proud of here at UW is the fact that we have both a statistics department, which is part of the arts and sciences, and a biostatistics department that is part of the public health. And we actually work very closely together. So you will see some of the same faces in the pictures because we have joint faculty. Actually, a lot of our graduate program is shared. I think that about 75% of the core curriculum in the graduate programs, in the PhD programs, are shared between the two departments. So I think that that's a feature that you don't find easily. And there is a lot of fluidity in terms of moving and working with people across the board. So I'm going to be talking mostly about stats, and I'll make a couple of references to biostats going on, but then Lourdes will go after me and talk in detail about biostats. So if we're talking about the statistics department in particular, I think that one of the things that we're very proud of is that we are deeply embedded in the intellectual life of the campus. I try to do, a sun and planets graph there, trying to put kind of units that are closer to us, in some sense, closer to statistics. So we have a number of joint faculty members with biostatistics. We have some faculty members also jointly with sociology, and also core curriculum shared with sociology, with biostatistics, and with the Center for Statistics in the Social Sciences. That's what CSSS is. But we are also very close with CSE, so we have joint grants together. I'm, for example, part of one of the big tripods institutes that is housed here at UW, and it's a collaboration with CSE and with math. Share courses with a number of other departments, and even with institutions that focused on research but are not part of the university, like the Fred Hodge. And we have a number of experts in various fields of statistics, including statistical machine learning and causal inference are probably the two that I would highlight the most. Bayesian inference is another area of strength. And if you want to learn more about the research that goes on in the department, I think that going into the website and the research part in particular, and we have kind of an up-to-date list of tech reports just as available from the main page. So I would suggest that you just go there and browse through some of that information. We offer both a PhD program and an MS program in statistics. The PhD has, roughly speaking, about 58 students. The MS program has, roughly speaking, about 70 to 75 students. And in addition to that, there is an interdisciplinary master in data science that it's a partnership between 6 departments on campus. So statistics and biostatistics are 2 of those 6, but it also includes CSE. So I'm not going to talk a lot about data science, but there is some links and some information from our website if you're interested in that, and you can also Google it. And we consider that a sister program in some sense. So those are some of the pictures of the faculty in the department. We have about 20 tenure and teaching stream faculty. We have also a couple of ongoing searches this year. We have 4 other part-time or full-time faculty that have an impact in the daily life of the department. About 50 adjuncts. So adjuncts at UW are faculty in other departments within UW that do work in statistics and co-advise students or advise students and play a big role in the life of the department. In addition to that, we have about 21 affiliate faculty from about 20 different institutions across Seattle and, to be frank, across the world. So we have a number of affiliate faculty that are faculty at other universities but work closely with us. So there is more information on the website, so I was a little bit unsure what to put here, but just to give you a sense about how the MS and the PhD program work. So the MS program is designed to be a 5-quarter program. There is typically no financial support for students that want to go through the program. It's a full-time program also. And in terms of the content, the curriculum, you could think about it as essentially covering foundations of statistical theory, applied statistics, and statistical computing. And then, in addition to that core, there are a set of electives and a capstone project that are integral to the master's. The PhD program is designed to be completed in 5 years. I think that about 70 to 75% of our students completed in the 5 years that it is designed to be completed on. We provide a 5-year financial support guarantee to start with, and we have always been able to fund our students that go beyond the 5 years until completion of their PhD. The curriculum is essentially built on the master's. So for somebody that is coming to UW without a master's degree, you typically complete the same core courses that the master's program requires, in addition to measure theory, advanced statistical theory, and statistical methodology. And then there are some electives and consulting and applied data analysis project. If you come to us with a master's program, there is a number of ways in which we will waive some of those initial courses so that you can, in some sense, start further on in your degree. So the curriculum is designed to be flexible and to kind of take in people kind of at different stages of developing as a statistician. We are very successful placing students out there. This mixes master's and PhD students, but basically shows you where some people have ended up. So students from the PhD program have gone to successful careers as tenure track and teaching track professors across the US and internationally. They have also gone to be successful at a number of private companies, both large and small. And our master's students, about half of them go to pursue PhD programs in highly ranked departments, and another half end up going into industry. And so you can get a sense of the placements from that figure. And so to pass it on to Lourdes, there are a couple of links there. So the link to the information about the graduate programs is the first one. We also offer a pre-application review service for students that want to help improving their statements and application materials for PhD programs. And so the information is in there. So if you want to search it. And we're also in social media. So our link is typically at UW-Stat. So you can find us in formerly Twitter or in LinkedIn. And I have a question mark, but what we'll do is just pass it on to Lourdes, and we can answer questions at the end.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lourdes Inoue, and I'm professor and chair of the Department of Biostatistics. Thank you for having us today here, and I'll be talking about the graduate programs in biostatistics. So you can see in this slide here that I'm just stating the mission of the Department of Biostatistics, which is in essence to serve as a source expertise and a focus of training and research in quantitative aspects of public health and medicine, and of course to promote the use of rigorous quantitative methods in biomedical and public health sciences. Underneath here, I have the picture of the new building in which we are, and Biostatistics actually occupies the 3rd floor of this new building, and this is also in the background of my Zoom page here, okay? So what do we do in why, you might want to choose UW Biostatistics. So UW is actually a top public institution. And so this is already what Abel had said. And this means in terms of the worldwide university rankings, graduate school rankings, as well as in terms of the research dollars that we get from federal grants. And my department, it is in the School of Public Health. And so the School of Public Health is essentially the second in terms of getting federal awards. So our program is one of the top. graduate programs, and so we are known for offering a rigorous and program, and also for having successful leaders post their PhD programs. We also have numerous faculty and students who won several awards, nationally or also internationally known. And then we have a very collegial and active, diverse research areas. So just so you get to know us a little bit, so we have here a few photos of our faculty. So we have as core faculty 29. I'm actually missing 2 photos from the more recent hires that we have here for the tenure track assistant professors. You can see also some of the photos from the adjunct faculty as well as the affiliate faculty. And just as Abel had alluded, our affiliate faculty come all across Seattle, but also from other universities. So from the Seattle area, for example, we have a number of faculty members from this research institution called the Fred Hutchinson, but the Seattle Children's, and several other locations as well in campus. So why is this so important for us? It is that it expands our ability to also supervise students, both in terms of their own research, but also in terms of their research experience. So for example, a number of our graduate students ended up being research assistants, for example, at the Fred Hutchinson, working on methods for infectious disease or cancer research, etc. Okay. And so this is a slide that highlights some of the areas in which our faculty are working on. And so you can see that is quite diverse, and I might still be missing some of the topics in here, but this is to give you an idea in terms of the methodological work as well as areas of application of the research that is developed in the Department of Biostatistics. You get exposure to a number of different research areas, and you're going to see that one of the things that is really define us in biostatistics is the collaboration that can happen on and off campus. So you're going to get access to a number of leaders in the academic world, but also in research or private industry. And because of that connections, right, we can get research assistantships, internships, and also postdocs or other jobs, right, that also enhance the experience of our graduate students. So we are also in the School of Public Health, and so our students and faculty also collaborate with members of the departments of Environmental and Occupational Health Sciences, Epidemiology, Global Health, and Health Systems and Population Health. So all of these other departments also sit in the new building that I just referred to, so the Hans Rosling building. But we also have broader connections with other health sciences schools. So for example, dentistry, medicine, nursing, pharmacy, social work, and also what is known as the Institute for Health Metrics Science, or IHME. And we have also strong connections with arts and sciences. So in that, I should highlight again statistics, as Abel had highlighted before, but we also have connections with computer science, electrical engineering, etc. So in this slide, I'm only focusing on schools and departments, say, within the University of Washington. But as I alluded before already, right, we also have connections outside of the University of Washington campus. So just for you to have an idea about, what I mean in terms of focusing on rigorous research, but also with the impact. So, we were living under this COVID-19 pandemic, but I'm very proud to say that UW Biostatistics provided a strong international leadership, particularly with COVID-19. And you can see in some of the areas in which our faculty and even graduate students were involved. So for example, in terms of the modeling efforts to track and predict the spread of COVID-19, or also to look into working jointly with the WHO to look into the estimates of excess mortality associated with COVID-19 pandemic. So this last item here is actually was led by John Wakefield, who is a joint faculty between Biostatistics and Statistics. And because of this rigorous and impactful work, faculty and students are recognized by prestigious organizations, and I listed some of those here in this slide as well. So which degree programs do we offer? So we have the PhD program in the standard pathway, so the generic PhD in biostatistics, but we also offer the other track that is in statistical genetics training. And then for the MS program, we have one where the terminal major accomplishments that they would be presenting a thesis, but we also have another pathway in which the students would work on the capstone project. So in terms of how they differ, etc., I'm not presenting in details the curriculum. If needed be, I can present additional slides that I prepared for that. But I can say that the PhD program and the MS thesis actually curriculum are pretty much similar in their first year. And then, but the MS capstone differs a little bit more from the MS thesis. And there is some differences in terms of the total time between MS thesis and MS capstone. So the MS capstone, it's usually going to be taking 1.5 years for completion, while the MS thesis can vary between 2 to 3 years, depending on the thesis that the students are developing. For the PhD program, typically the students would be taking 5 years. And this is, just as Abel had alluded to, in the situations where the students may be coming straight from undergraduate, right? And so they have to go through a lot of training, etc. But if a student is coming already with an MS degree, then they might be able to jump to the second year. So they would take a placement exam to see if they have the adequate training in terms of being able to follow our second year courses. But if they pass those, then they can start in what would be our second year coursework. So in terms of student support, our PhD students are guaranteed 5 years of support, depending only on being good standing in the graduate program. For the MS students, we do not guarantee support, but there are some opportunities, and typically they will come as teaching assistants for our courses, okay? So why this is important in terms of the student support that we provide is that they are going to have opportunities to work with subject experts, and then, of course, develop teaching communication skills and being involved with meaningful, impactful research. This also may serve as a doorway to many other job opportunities. And of course, they can build professional network as well as build relationships that can help in terms of recommendations for the job applications, right? So the next slide here is really just to provide you with some of the sites for additional information. So if you just want to get the information about the department, that is the first link that I'm providing here. And if you want to learn more about the specific programs that we offer, so we have one link for the PhD program and another for the MS program. And once you go to the MS program, then you're going to find the two pathways that I alluded to. One is the MS thesis program, and then the other one is the MS capstone. And then I also have here the slide that is providing information about how you can apply for the program, okay? And with that said, I'm happy to take any question. I might have been a little too fast, but.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Inouye and Dr. Rodriguez. We are a little bit short on time, so we're going to go ahead and go on to the next speakers. But if you have questions for either Dr. Inouye or Dr. Rodriguez, feel free to type them into the Q&A and just indicate that they are, indicate who the question is directed towards. I believe Dr. Inouye and Dr. Rodriguez are going to stick around for a little bit and can answer those questions in the Q&A.
And I've been responding to questions in the Q&A a little bit, so.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right. Well, the next speaker that we have is Dr. Jim Booth from the Cornell Department of Statistics and Data Science.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'll go ahead and share screen. Can you see my screen okay now? That's good.
Yep.
Okay, so as Sam mentioned, I am James or Jim Booth. I'm the Director of Graduate Studies for the field of statistics at Cornell. This is my email address. Another important person, if you want to get information about our program, is Alan Ward, who's a graduate field assistant, and his email address is given there also. We have two graduate programs. One is called the MS PhD program. The MS is there because if you come in, if you apply after your undergraduate degree, typically you would earn an MS degree on your way to a PhD. Technically, you're not admitted to the PhD program until after your what we call the A exam, which I'll say a little bit more about in a moment. Students who are admitted to the MS PhD program are fully funded. We have a generous stipend at Cornell. The tuition is paid, health insurance is paid. The details of the exact amounts you can find on the graduate school webpage. I have a link to it here. We also have a professional master's degree in applied statistics, which is a one-year program for most students. Some students take one additional semester, but this program is not, students are not funded. They're self-funded in this program. If you're interested, again, you can go to the department's website and there's information about this program. I'm going to mostly focus on the PhD program today. So this is the current makeup of our program. We have 39 students at the beginning of this academic year, about 60% male, 40% female. There are more international students than domestic students, and the international students come from a variety of countries. The main ones are China, India, and South Korea, and then we have students from a number of other different countries. So it's, I think, similar to many other PhD programs around the country. There's a strong international flavor to the student body. In terms of applications and admissions, we have between 200 and 250 applicants each year. Seems like a big number, but most of those applicants will be applying to multiple places. Between 70 and 80% of our applicants are international. Again, I think that's probably typical of most programs around the country. We have a review process where we have a faculty committee. We try to have at least 2 faculty review each application. But in the end, we're aiming to recruit approximately 8 students per year. And in order to do that, we admit roughly 20 students, so about 10% of the applicants. Most of those students we admit will have multiple offers, so we don't expect them all to accept offers at Cornell. Okay, in terms of the application requirements, this is probably quite standard. Applicants have to submit their undergraduate transcripts or master's transcripts if they have done a master's degree. One of the, so that the transcripts are very important because that gives us a sense of whether or not the students have the right academic background for our program. Then some recommendation letters. it's nice, it's nice if the person writing the letter knows a little bit more about you than just you having been in their class. Sometimes students get letters from faculty that they've done a research project with, so they know the faculty member a little bit better than otherwise. And then there are two essays. One is called the Academic Statement of Purpose, and the other one is called a Personal Statement. And there are links to what those essays should be about from the graduate school webpage. But specifically, the Academic Statement of Purpose is your opportunity to explain why you're a good fit for the Cornell PhD program in statistics, and in particular, what kind of a academic background you have, what kind of research projects you may have been involved in, and so on. The personal statement is an opportunity for students to say something about their life history. So, for example, you might be a single parent, or you might have served in the military, or it's an opportunity for you to make other, just to describe your life history and why you might be a good fit for the program at Cornell. So one thing that's a little different about Cornell, maybe even unique, is we have a field structure. So if you apply to the PhD program at Cornell, you don't apply to the department, you apply to the field of statistics. And the field of statistics is broader than just the faculty within the department. It's there are faculty members, almost 40 faculty members with appointments in the field. Every faculty member in the Department of Statistics and Data Science is in the field, but there are also faculty from a number of other departments, such as mathematics, computer science, and operations research. And each of those faculty members is able to advise PhD students in the field of statistics. So at the present time, roughly a third of our PhD students are advised by faculty that are actually not in statistics and data science. Some of them are in computer science and mathematics and other departments. So when you first arrive at Cornell, the Director of Graduate Studies is your primary advisor. Typically, students don't choose an advisor until late in their second year. So statistics is different from some other fields where students are admitted with the expectation that they'll work with a particular faculty member. That's not the way it generally works in statistics. The committee chair has to be a member of the field, and as I noted, that field member may not be actually in the Department of Statistics. There are two key exams that students take. The first one is called the A exam. That's where consists of a presentation by the student where they give a research proposal, what they've done already and what they're planning to do for the remainder of their time as a PhD student. Typically, the requirement is that's done before the beginning of the fourth year. So often students do it in the summer following their third year in the program. And if a student passes the A exam, the committee has the option of awarding a non-thesis master's degree based on the coursework that the student has done. The B exam is the defense, and that's typically done at the end of the 5th year. And the median time to graduate in our program is 5 years. In fact, the vast majority of students do complete the degree in 5 years. Occasionally, students might take an extra semester. That's not that unusual. But I don't remember a case in recent history where a student has taken more than 6 years to graduate. So here are the standard courses. So these would be courses that a typical student coming in with an undergraduate degree would take. So the first year, they would take 3 courses each semester. These are fairly standard. There's a first semester is theory of linear models, statistical computing, and probability. One thing to note is that the probability class has a prerequisite of real analysis. And so that's one thing that we would look for on a student's transcript. And have they taken a real analysis or advanced calculus class as an undergraduate? And then there's some additional required courses in the spring. After the first year, the course load decreases. There's one required course in the second year, Mathematical Statistics 2. Students are required to take a set of electives, but there's a broad range of choices for courses that they can take. Another requirement is a statistical consulting sequence, which students would typically take later on, say in their 3rd year. And here's a list of some recent graduates. You can see the kind of jobs that people are getting. I would say maybe this started about 10 years ago, but many of our students are going to positions in the big tech industries like Google and Amazon and Microsoft and so on. And we've also placed a lot of students in academia. That I would say now it's probably 1/3 of our students go the academic route, and the 2/3 are going into various industries. Okay, so here's a list of links. The main ones are to the Department of Statistics and Data Science, and then you can find information about the PhD program, the MPS program, and so on. There's also a link to the Cornell Graduate School where you can find a lot of information about the application process, and there are links to information about the essays that are required. One thing I didn't mention is there's one option that students have in the PhD program at Cornell is to do a special master's in computer science. And that's only available to students in mathematics, statistics, information science, and I believe applied math. And so it does require that you take some additional courses, but you would get a master's degree in computer science rather than a master's degree in statistics on the way to getting a PhD. So at that, I will take questions, or maybe I can answer questions in the chat. Which do you prefer, Sam?
I think we have maybe time for just 1 or 2 questions, and then you can do some questions in the chat. Okay. And so we'll, and kind of as we're transitioning over, we can let Dr. Korostashevsky start sharing his slides. But if there are a few questions here, so So a student is asking about GRE submissions and kind of the optional GRE submissions.
Oh, so that's a good question. So we have kind of transitioned away from requiring the GRE, and at this point, I believe starting next year, we just won't accept GRE scores. So we're not using the GRE anymore in our admissions process.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Dr. Booth. And we'll, just as with similar speakers, so I think Dr. Booth will be able to stick around for a little bit and answer any of the questions in the Q&A that you can type in. And just make sure that you indicate that it's intended for Dr. Booth. All right, so just moving along, we have next we have Dr. Korostashevsky from Georgetown, the Department of Biostatistics, Bioinformatics, and Biomathematics.
Okay, hello everyone, and thanks for hosting us. That was a really nice idea to bring us all together here. So this title slide is a little bit misleading. It says Master of Science in Biostatistics, but I'll be actually talking about both Masters and PhD. And I also have Dr. Ming Tang present here, who is the chair of our department and the director of PhD program, to answer some of the questions about those aspects. Oh. All right, so we are a relatively young department in Georgetown University. We started in 2005, but in our short history, we have become a fairly critical component of the research side on the medical campus side of Georgetown University. We are an integral part in research endeavors in Lombardi Comprehensive Cancer Center, also working with a lot of scientists in neurology, neurosciences, and across other disciplines. We also collaborate with scientists at the NIH and with various of our colleagues in pharmaceutical industry. And a lot of our research as faculty is funded by grants through our collaborations with scientists at Georgetown, and the grants come from typical places like NIH, Department of Defense, and so on. So what one can do with biostatistics? So the main idea is to become a researcher equipped with tools and skills which will allow you to contribute in terms of research and collaboration to various aspects of biomedical research, ranging from clinical trials to bioinformatics. And also, you will be able to become a collaborative and consulting contributor across other disciplines as well. In terms of places where biostatistics prepares you to work, there is no limit, essentially. So it ranges again, from universities to government, and cutting across nonprofit organizations, cancer centers, research departments, pharmaceutical companies, and so on. Georgetown is one of the R1 classified universities in the United States, and I had to look up R1, which stands for Doctoral Universities, Very High Research Activity. A lot of this research activity does happen on the medical side of our campus, where we are situated. We are, as a faculty, nationally and internationally recognized in biostatistics and bioinformatics. We do provide a personalized career preparation for our graduate students, and this is, I believe, what we've been doing pretty well. The master's program offers training in many areas, but typical 3 areas that everyone hears nowadays are computational, quantitative. We also are active in machine learning and applications of AI in biomedical research, and likewise, we also contribute to theoretical foundation of our trainees. Typical goals of training and are as follows. So we do help students master rigorous analytical and practical skills in biostatistics. We do emphasize a necessity for our students to experience what it means to do a real research project. And in our program, this is called Research Practicum, where students work under mentorship of a faculty member, where they are introduced to how research works, from getting ideas to doing preliminary research, working with a non-statistician, trying to come up maybe with a methodology or test an existing methodology, and so on and so forth. And in the end, they would create a report and would present their work in a mini symposium that we hold every time our master's class is graduating. So that's been quite valuable for our students in terms of advancing their career. I mean, finding jobs and then advancing their careers. So another aspect of our training is we want our students to develop the ability to collaborate on a wide range of projects, and emphasizing in particular the necessity to be able to learn about a non-statistical work of their peers, so that the collaboration becomes more fruitful. As such, they are becoming valuable members of cross-disciplinary and interdisciplinary scientific teams. A lot of our courses have a component that help our students to improve or develop communication skills. It could be through holding regular presentations, to like present through group work with their peers, and working in the capacities of consultants. So as such, they are very well prepared for careers in industry, government, academic labs, and so on. And obviously, for those who want to further their graduate studies, our program provides a very solid preparation to apply for PhD programs. So on this page, I actually quote an ASA working group document that they developed 2 years ago, which by nowadays standards may seem like an outdated document. However, these bullet points do provide a valuable insight into what we as programs should be doing in training our master's students. And I am proud to say that we actually hit all of these 7 bullet points, and we've been doing that ever since we started our master's program in 2006. To be a bit more specific, our program is a 3-semester, 32-credit program, and the coursework includes courses from classical foundational courses such as probability and sampling, statistical inference, all the way to machine learning for bioinformatics, data science, and such. And I already mentioned research practicum, so that is a one of our staples in our program. But we also acknowledge the fact that not all students may want to do a research practicum, and for those situations, we offer what we call special topics courses, where students are again introduced to topics that are not typically covered in a regular master's biostats curriculum. In terms of career possibilities, our students have been quite successful in many places in many different areas. So I here provide a really small snapshot of organizations where students have found employment before and are continuing to find. Our alumni from our master's program have been successful in pursuing their PhD studies. So again, this is a partial list of universities from which our master students have graduated as PhDs. And on the very bottom, I'm very proud to say that there is Georgetown University, that is another place that some of our master students apply and get accepted. Furthermore, in terms of outcomes, this diagram presents a percentage breakdown of places where our master students find employment. Now, this is based on a 5-year period from 2016 to 2021 on the data that's been collected through surveys or web search. So in terms of application, so these are the 3 deadlines that we currently offer. The October 15th deadline is an early application deadline, and if you make it before then the application fee will be waived. May 15th listed as a priority deadline for reasons of if a student is an international student, they will have to have an appropriate amount of time to go through visa application and processing. And so we highly recommend to do that by May 15, and then July 1 is absolutely final deadline. And after that, the application portal is closed. I should mention that our program does offer a limited number of scholarships to an incoming class. In addition to our organization, Biomedical Graded Education, offering a number of scholarships to qualified students. So I'll be happy to communicate that in a separate communication or in the chat. So in the meantime, there is a link to our application webpage. And in case you're not ready to apply yet, but you wanted to stay in touch with us, you can scan this QR code and answer a few questions so that we can capture your information and continue our communication. And now I'll switch to our PhD in Biostatistics program. So there's not going to be too many slides there because a lot of information is shared from the MS side of this presentation. Our PhD program is fairly young. I believe we are maybe 7 years old, and or 6. We have graduated 7 students since we began. And on this page, you can see a technical breakdown of what kind of coursework our PhD students are exposed to. So 40 credits coursework is referred to the first 2 years of PhD studies. And after that, students enter into their dissertation research stage where they essentially do the dissertation research. The sample coursework is presented here is, I would say, fairly typical for a biostatistics program. So I'm not going to really speak a lot about these courses, but I would like to point to this page where I'm listing a partial a list of topics on which our faculty work and our PhD students are able to find research projects in. Now, these are, of course, not fixed in time. Our research interests change periodically. So the work on dissertation is done under the mentorship of a faculty member. And I say here typically involves an outside collaborator, but in our experience, it always involves an outside collaborator, especially given our placement within the university and in Washington, D.C. area. So our students have greatly benefited from this arrangement, and because of that, a lot of them have been successful in terms of their work, their publications, and finding their subsequent employment. So we have, like I mentioned, we had 7 graduates. So we have a number of them working at the NIH. We have graduates working at the FDA. We have a number of graduates working at pharmaceutical companies and in academia. Geographically, we are in the Georgetown neighborhood, which is located in Northwest Washington, D.C. University is accessible via transportation system, subway, buses, bike lanes. If you want to walk, you can walk. We also have a Georgetown University shuttle bus. Housing is not available on campus itself, on the classical Georgetown campus, but the university has recently acquired a location in downtown Washington, D.C., where graduate student housing is available. In addition to that, majority of students typically find accommodations in nearby areas in Georgetown or in states of Virginia, parts of Virginia and Maryland that are neighboring Washington, D.C. In terms of the student life, so it's a campus life. So we have social programming. We have graduate student organizations setting up events. We have our own performing arts center. We have athletic teams, and we have athletic programs for students. We have career and professional services through university and through biomedical graduate education organization. We have student health center and counseling services and fitness programs. And outside campus, it is Washington, D.C. area, which is very rich with culture, events, and establishments. Smithsonian Institution and other museums. We have Kennedy Center, sports teams, lots of natural resources such as parks and other things I'm sure I don't know about, but I usually like to learn from our students when they come here and learn about themselves. So for the department context here, I list Dr. Tan, who is present on this panel, myself, and Ms. Mini An, who is our Assistant Director of Administration and Graduate Studies. Any one of us is able to answer your questions in the email or ask someone who knows better answers. And again, I'm listing here this QR code if you want to stay in touch and let us know a few pieces of information so that we could communicate with you. And with that, I think that's it. Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you so much. And so maybe just one question as our next speaker, Dr. Ma, is setting up the slide. So there's a question in the Q&A. For people with lower GPAs and less mathematical/statistical coursework, what can they do to strengthen their application and to be as competitive as possible?
Okay, so for the GPA for application into our MS program, we require 3.0 or above. And in cases where students don't, necessarily make that, but it's close, we are working with that student individually and then with our administrative offices, sort of providing a justification why we should give that student an opportunity to enter into our program. So that, entails looking more closely at CV or student's resume, their experiences, how they progressed through the undergraduate program, what kind of coursework they did, what kind of maybe summer internship they were involved in, so that there is evidence that success is actually highly probable. And throughout our history, we had I'd say a healthy number of students who were borderline in terms of their GPA, and they ended up being very successful in our program. Well, because they wanted a chance, they received it, and they worked really hard to get through it. So in terms of the coursework, so if there is a sufficient amount of time between when student decides to apply and when they will be entering into our program, we typically recommend to spend the time actually registering in a course that is missing from the prerequisite list. And these courses may be taken at any accredited college and university. It doesn't have to be a university. It could be a community college, for example. And our prerequisites are, we have calculus 1 through 3, intro to linear algebra, and some statistics course. So typically students who do not have the full prerequisite list would miss maybe a multivariable calculus or linear algebra. So it's a matter of taking 1 or 2 classes in between in that time frame.
Great, thank you so much. As before, if you have any additional questions for Dr. Korosashevsky, feel free to type them into the Q&A, and either him or Dr. Tan are able to answer those. All right, so we'll be moving on to our next speaker. We have Dr. Ma from the University of California, Riverside.
Can you see now?
Yes, great. We can see. Great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So first, I want to say that UCR is located in Southern California, and it has excellent location. It's basically within 1 hour drive to everything, including the beach, Disneyland, the mountains where you can ski. So actually, it's not true that you cannot see snow in Southern California, as we see snow every year. And a lot of my colleagues went to ski in the winter time, and also close to some national parks and some resorts, like in, for instance, the famous Palm Springs. So the department, this is our building for Department of Statistics. And in recent years, I noticed that the undergraduate program in UCR actually is climbing up rapidly. So our graduate program offers MS in statistics and a PhD in statistics. We also offer MS in business analytics, joined with the School of Business and UC Riverside. Now we are trying to establish a data science program joined with the engineering school. We also offer a 4+1 MS program for our undergraduate students. If you have a good GPA and a good academic performance, you will be able to get an MS degree within 5 years. And another thing I want to mention that based on the discussion with my colleagues from this year, we will waive the requirement for GRE score for both MS and the PhD applicants. So which means that we no longer require the GRE scores for both our MS and the PhD applicants. So we are the second, that actually I was told by my colleagues because some of them are much senior than me. So we are actually the second oldest statistics department among the UC campuses. Actually, the age of my department, I think, is much older than me, although I'm not young. So, so our department was established after the statistics department and the UC Berkeley. And our degree program offer a variety of opportunities in the field of biomedical science, high-tech company, financial banks, etc. And also our department is the host for the statistical consulting collaboratory and the UCR, so we provide statistics related service to scientists on the campus. Also, one thing I want to let you know that UCR has a School of Medicine, but we are the only department hosting all statistician and biostatistician on campus. So whenever the doctors or scientists have the need for or seek help for data analysis, they will come to us. You will find a lot of collaboration opportunities with scientists on the campus. So each of my colleagues actually and their students are collaborating frequently with the researchers in our school and among other UC campuses. And we used to be a small department because the department was once emphasizing on the applied statistics. But now in recent years, the department is expanding significantly. Now we have 18 faculty members and it's still expanding. So this year we will have a couple of more positions. So probably the faculty size will reach or even exceed 20 soon. So the faculty, so at least the information of our faculty, you can find their information in detail on our website. So the faculty is working on a variety of interesting and cutting edge research topics, including like causal inference, precision medicine, data mining and machine learning, statistical learning, biostatistics, etc. So the department is a good combination of both theoretical, computational, and applied statistics. You will find a lot of interesting research topics that our faculty is working on. So in the last page, it shows the 4 young talented faculty members who were recently recruited. Zhe and Vivian were recruited last year, and Jose and Alfonso were recruited this year. They recently joined the department. And for the program overview, you can see check our website, and also the updated handbook for graduate students is posted on the website as well. So from the handbook, you can see the MS, PhD requirements and the advancing to candidacy, and both the MS and the PhD students and the current stage are required to take a qualifying exam, written qualifying exam. And for PhD students, they are also required to pass an oral exam based on their dissertation. So the financial support for PhD students is guaranteed for 5-year study during their PhD. MS financial support for another thing I wanted to mention, probably you have heard that the students on the UC campus have negotiated with the schools. So now the stipend for UC graduate students is very good. We offer around 30,000 per year as a stipend for all PhD students. PhD student, again, financial support is guaranteed. And for the first year, students can get a fellowship. So they don't need to work as RA or TA, and they just need to focus on their study based on the fellowship provided. And for domestic students, we also offer a variety of scholarships that you can apply so that you can get extra financial support in addition to the 30,000 per year. And for MS students, the financial support is not guaranteed, what I can say, but in recent years, our department is expanding. So we recruit a lot of undergraduate. We have undergraduate program in statistics and also undergraduate program in data science joined with computer science. So we need a lot of TA. As far as I know, within this couple of years, most of the MS students are provided with the TA as well. But you need to, so like I said, for MS student, the financial support is not guaranteed in your offer letter. That's different from the PhD student. You need to contact the department if you want to have a financial support for master applicants. And those are the careers in recent years for our graduate students. So you can see that they went to both the industry and academia, such as some high-tech company, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, etc., or pharmaceutical companies. So we have several pharmaceutical companies in actually located in Southern California, so it's quite convenient. And our students can find internship very easily, relatively easily, I think, locally. And also some of our graduates went to academia. That's based on your interest. I think that's all what I wanted to say. And if you have any question, please feel free to contact either me or our graduate student service advisor, Marlene. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. So the next speaker that we have is Dr. Kaisar and Dr. Shobin from Ohio State.
All right, here we are. Can you see my screen?
Yep, thank you.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for coming. It's a wonderful opportunity to share with you a little bit about what's going on here at Ohio State. So like all of the other programs that have come before us, I'm sure that we will say our city is wonderful, our location is fabulous. We are in Columbus, Ohio, which is in the center of Ohio. And many people think of the Midwest as being kind of a little bit smaller, but Columbus, Ohio is recently named the 14th largest city in the US. And so Ohio State is in the middle of a metropolis with lots of activities for students to engage in. It's also still relatively affordable, so you can obtain housing relatively close to campus as well. But more about the program. We have 4 degree programs that we're going to talk about today. In the Department of Statistics, we offer the Master of Applied Statistics, and that is intended to be a 2-year terminal degree. The other 3, we have a Master's of Statistics that is a more traditional 2 years master's degree that can stand alone, or you can use it as a stepping stone to a PhD. We have students who join us intending to get a master's degree after 2 years and then decide that they're really enjoying it and doing well, and they decide to stay along for the PhD as well. So that's an option. And that option works pretty well because the first year courses for our Master of Statistics are the same first year courses as we have for our PhD in Statistics and the PhD in Biostatistics. So the PhD in Statistics is a 5-year program where you complete coursework and then transition to a dissertation research with a faculty mentor, who I'll talk about in a minute. And Abby, do you want to talk a little bit about the PhD in Biostatistics?
Sure. So the PhD in Biostatistics is a 5-year program, which, like the PhD in Statistics, sort of has roughly 2 years of coursework, and then you transition to sort of doing research mentored by faculty. So it's quite similar. We're going to talk more about it in just a second.
Yeah. So in the Department of Statistics, the statistics faculty and students, we have a pretty big faculty, 30 full-time faculty members. 13 of those are female, and this year we are hoping to hire 4 more, and so our faculty is certainly growing. Among the graduate student body, this is the Statistics PhD, the Statistics MS, and the Statistics MAS, so just the statistics part. We have 77 students, and about 1/3 of those are female. The topics that our students and faculty work on together, you can see here that there's a whole bunch of different options, from statistical genetics, network analysis, stochastic processes, high dimensional inference. So also you can see a big mix of applied topics to theoretical topics to computation as well. And then Abby, do you want to take over for a minute?
So what's sort of fairly unique, I believe, about Ohio State, I don't think you've heard about this from other programs, is sort of we have this interdisciplinary biostatistics PhD program. So it started as a joint venture between the statistics department and the College of Arts and Sciences, and
sorry,
that's fine, and the division of biostatistics within the College of Public Health. So it's the 2 buildings on campus, and they sort of came together to form an interdisciplinary PhD program of biostatistics. And we've since actually added some faculty members who do biostatistics in the Center for Biostatistics, which is a separate unit on campus. So it's a true interdisciplinary program that brings together faculty from all over the university. I think click once, perfect. So our biostatistics faculty, we currently have 27 faculty members in the PhD program in biostatistics, that are roughly 50% female. And you can see the research area that our faculty and students have been involved in, including causal inference, clinical trials, and you can read the rest of the list on that screen. So there's a broad variety of options available to you if you want to pursue this interdisciplinary PhD in biostatistics.
For funding, all of the PhD students across statistics and biostatistics have 5-year financial support, and that comes through either fellowships or graduate associateships or some combination of the 2. Very few, if any, I believe that the maximum fellowship is for only 3 of the 5 years. The graduate associateships, those are predominantly teaching associateships, but there's also lots of opportunities for research associateships. That happens with working with advisors as part of PhD research, but we also have other opportunities where it would be a more interdisciplinary graduate research associateships. So for example, on campus, we have something called the Nationwide Center for, I didn't write it down, for Innovation, I think, that roughly three of our graduate students work as RAs in that center every semester. And Abby, did you want to say something about some interdisciplinary RAs that biostatistics students take on?
Sure. So we have currently students doing the research associateships with things like there's a project looking at smoking cessation and sort of cleaning up data from, I don't even know this isn't my project, but cleaning up data from hookah pipes where they're collecting sort of how much people inhale and then puff out of the nicotine. There's a project that's a joint venture with the College of Dentistry. There's a project that's a joint venture with, who else?
The GRC?
Yes. Oh, so there's a, I don't even know what GRC stands for anymore. They
the
do
Government
surveys.
Research
There we go.
Center.
Thank you. They do surveys. There's a whole lot of projects. So yeah, so the GRC, where they do surveys for mostly the state of Ohio, but also elsewhere. So there's a wide variety of different opportunities for research associateships.
For students who are pursuing a Master's of Statistics or a Master's of Applied Statistics, some very strong applicants do receive guaranteed two-year full financial support through teaching associateships. As the program before us also mentioned, most of the MS and MAS students do receive some sort of GTA position during their time here, because we also have tons of undergraduate teaching that needs to get done, and we love to have the help from these graduate students when we have capacity. So there are often opportunities, but again, we can't guarantee them for everyone. Student life, across all of our programs, we have 112 students currently. We have a graduate student organization that self-organizes and does many outings. So this year they've been doing an outing every week or two that with so many students, you don't need everyone to get together and go every week. And so they can have a lot of activities. Here is just a list of 4 things that they've done this year. And this is a picture from our recent ice cream social at a local ice cream shop. Thinking more broadly, there are over 10,000 graduate students at Ohio State, and many of our students make good friendships outside of the statistics department and biostatistics program as well. That at Ohio State, it's relatively easy to find a place where you feel that you fit in and can meet interesting people from lots of different backgrounds. In the summers, we also have students go off to do lots of internship. Something that is great about our department and about the biostatistics program as well is that we have long-term close relationships with many companies and research institutes. You can see here that there's a whole list of summer locations for summer internships that our students have done recently. And we also have strong relationships where companies come to campus to recruit our students as well. Every year almost every year we have visits on campus from places like Chase, Lubrizol, and Nationwide, and there was Eli Lilly comes every year or nearly every year as well. So we do have a good relationship with the corporate world to help our students succeed if that is the choice that they want to take. And so after our program, our PhD students, many of them will take faculty positions. All of our students with all the different kinds of degrees get positions in government, research institutes, banking, high tech, consumer products, and pharmaceuticals. So our training is very broad, so our students can go to many different places. In terms of the program itself, our university has a minimum GPA requirement of a 3.0. But in terms of our PhD program, many successful applicants have at least a 3.6. For the MS and MAS, sometimes a lower GPA is a little bit more common. We do like to see in applicants multivariable calculus and linear algebra. Real analysis is a bonus that we would recommend if you're thinking about coming to our program and have a little room in your schedule still this year. In terms of student materials, we ask you to provide a personal statement, a resume or CV, your transcripts. The statistics program is still asking for the GRE, although for biostatistics, that is optional. And if you are an international student, then we do also require some language exams. That's a university requirement as well. And then we like to see letters of recommendation. 3 of them, in fact. We recommend that at least 2 of those letters come from either a course instructor or a research advisor of some sort. How to apply? Go to our website. The priority deadline for our the statistics program is December 15th, and by priority, we mean that's where you would receive full consideration for all different types of funding. And we do ask applicants to get their application in by February 1st. For biostatistics, it's a little bit different. The international priority deadline is December 1st, and for the rest, it's December 15th. And you can monitor your application status online. And then for more information, we both programs have websites. And for the Department of Statistics, you can contact my colleague Shinyi, who I am filling in for. I should have mentioned this at the very beginning. I'm Ellie Kazar. I am chair in the Department of Statistics. Shinyi had an unexpected event today where she couldn't join us. And Caitlin Donahue is our graduate program coordinator who answers lots of questions from potential applicants. For the PhD program in biostatistics, please contact Abby. Did you want to say anything else, Abby?
No, I don't think so. That was a pretty good summary.
All right. And I think that that's the end.
All right. Thank you so much. So there's a few, we have a little bit of time before our next program. So maybe just a few questions from the Q&A. So are international students applying for a PhD eligible for financial aid and stipends at Ohio State?
Absolutely, yes. We definitely, yes, we do that.
Great. And then maybe another question, and this is maybe just a student is asking if they didn't take multivariable calculus, are they still eligible to apply for the MS? And maybe kind of a broader question, are there any kind of specific course requirements that students should be thinking about?
So do you want to take that, Abby?
So for the MS, that's probably a statistics question.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. No, it said Abby.
I know.
But it's confusing because my name isn't there. Multivariable calculus for the MAS program would be a requirement. So we would recommend that a student who doesn't have that yet would spend some time over the summer getting those skills. The MS program is only a 2-year program, and so you really do need to hit the ground running. The first year courses will assume that you know that multivariable calculus, and so we would like you to have that. You can take it in a variety of places. We don't accept credit from sort of the free online Coursera kinds of things, but we do accept multivariable calculus from a number of accredited institutions.
Great. And then maybe one last question before we move on to the next program. So there's a student who's asking, is it recommended to find an advisor in advance for the PhD program, and kind of does it affect the admissions process? And so maybe a question of like more broadly of identifying kind of a student's interest and trying to match them up with an existing faculty member.
That is a fantastic question. Our admissions are all centralized. So the students are all going to be applying to a central location, to a single committee for the stats department and a separate single committee for the biostats program. And so identifying a single advisor and reaching out to them in advance isn't necessarily going to be helpful to you for getting into our program. However, when we're reading the personal statements, it is very nice to see a student who has looked at our program and understands that the kind of advisors that we have, the faculty that we have, and the kinds of research areas that we're working on would be a fit for what their future plans are. So generally speaking, you don't need to specifically find an advisor that you want to commit to. But it is great to show that you're looking at the programs carefully and that you're applying to our program because you think there would be a good advising fit there.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we are going to move on then to our final program. And so we're very fortunate to have Dr. Tab from Drexel University in the Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics.
Can everyone hear me okay? Okay, great. Good afternoon. And everyone can see my slides okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thanks so much. And thank you all too for hanging in there, because I know that this has been a ton of wonderful information, but definitely a significant amount of your time. So thank you all. My name is Lonnie Phillip Tab. I am the Graduate Program Director at Drexel University, and I'm also Associate Dean for Faculty Affairs. And I'm here on behalf of the Dornsife School of Public Health in the Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics. And I am thrilled to be here to share a bit about our programs. I have some key context that I want to share up front. And I believe these slides will be available, but if not, I can certainly send them. But Yvonne Michael is currently our interim department chair and also professor. As I had mentioned, I'm Lonnie Phillip Tab, and another key contact to take note is David Wood. He is our Executive Director of Enrollment Management, and I've provided his number, his email address, as well as an additional admissions general email address for folks if they have further information that they need to gather. I wanted to first start off by just kind of grounding what the mission and the vision looks like in our department. We are a joint department. And so our mission and vision is that we'd like to be able to use our expertise, faculty, staff, students, to investigate, analyze, and also report on important public health challenges and issues, and often being at the helm of designing solutions to not just document them, but to address the solutions themselves. And we also enthusiastically support and have been doing this for a number of years because it's embedded in the mission of the school, that we have an actual action plan if folks want to get additional information to enhance diversity, inclusion, equity, and anti-racism. So just a couple of broad research areas for our faculty. And I will be providing additional links so that you can get some additional information as well. But I've just put a few here, and this list continues to grow because our department grows. So we have faculty who then work with students, master's level biostatistics students, as well as PhD level students in topics around aging, chronic disease, infectious disease, environment and social built environment, structural racism, which is an area that I focus on a ton, social determinants of health. So we have a very wide array of research expertise that students, when they come, they're able to, pretty much gain as much experience in a wide variety of areas as possible. So I'll first start off with the MS program in biostatistics. So the goal here in this program is to make sure that we're really giving students a strong foundation, a thorough understanding of biostatistical methods, but it's also coupled with strong computational skills, and to show these students once they graduate how to really focus on these health-related problems, so that when they do graduate, they have 3 key things that they're attaining: public health knowledge, biostatistics knowledge, and also data management and computing skills. In our program for the MS in biostatistics, students have degree requirements. So there are 29 credits for biostatistic core courses. We have 9 credit hours so that students can pick electives, and students tend to go in a variety of different areas. Maybe they want to take electives within environmental and occupational health. Maybe they want to take epidemiology only electives. So the students have choices. 6 credit hours of epi and math courses, and then a data analysis project, which I'll talk about in a little bit. This is just a sample study plan for the first and second year for our students. And one thing to note for those of you who are in the audience, when you think about going into graduate school, you also have to think about the timing of when you're finishing up in these programs. Drexel was in a quarter system, so we start in September. But with these students in the MS Biostatistics program, they're finishing at the end of their winter quarter, which means they're on the job market come March or April, which is much earlier than other programs that tend to graduate around the May, June timeframe. But this is just a little bit of a grid so that you can get an understanding of what the students are engaging in during the first and second years. And it's this mix of linear statistical modeling, advanced statistical computing, again, the electives, and also the data analysis project. That second year data analysis project allows students to really pursue projects outside of Drexel, and it allows them to network and allows them to build relationships so that then when they're finished up with their master's program, they've already made these connections. And these vary, so it could be in pharmaceutical settings, government settings, consulting firms, and it allows these students to really, really get that hands-on experiential learning that's so needed once they graduate from our program already. And that experiential type of learning lends itself to allowing the students to take what they're learning in the classroom and concretely applying it. Now, the PhD program in biostatistics further trains researchers to not just know how to analyze data, right, and understand that there are a number of different statistical methods that exist, but to develop new statistical methods, whether that's in biomedical, public health, biological sciences, and also how to work collaboratively with other researchers across a broad spectrum of fields. Now, when our doctoral students graduate, they would have mastered fundamental concepts in probability and statistical theory. They know how to communicate statistical findings in a very rigorous way, direct quantitative methods. So there are a number of things that these students are being equipped with. The degree requirements here, at minimum, if students come in with a bachelor's, they have to attain 90 credit hours. And it's going to be a mix of different courses, similar to how it was for the MS students. The difference, though, is that we also, of course, have students who come in with an MS. So their minimum requirements are 51 credit hours. The GPA, the cumulative GPA minimum is a 3.0, and very particular to our program, similar to other doctoral programs, the students have to pass the doctoral qualifying exam, pass their oral proposal or their proposal defense, and then complete their dissertation, and then have at the end a final dissertation defense. Again, this is a little bit of a potential sample of what it could look like for students when you first come in. After that first full year of courses that summer, the students are engaging in the written qualifying exam. And after students successfully pass that, they're moving on to some more advanced level courses and then moving on with their proposal to say this is what they really want to focus on for their dissertation. Student engagement in our department, it's multi-factored, right? We have internal student engagement, we have social events, of course. Students are heavily engaged in the shared governance structure of how our school is run, which we really value. And then externally, our students are also taking advantage of getting out there in the field. Conference attendance is something that we support our students wholeheartedly. We have funding to support them. We encourage them to participate, whether it is the ENAR conference that happens every year. The International Biometrics Society has a conference as well, the American Statistical Association. So all of these societies are frequented by many of our students in our MS and PhD programs. This is just a listing for all of our graduates, the types of positions that they've acquired over the years. So of course you have on the computing side, statistical programmers or data programmers, but then on the other side, you have principal statisticians, senior scientists, non-clinical statisticians. So the list is really vast. And then these are just a list of some of the actual employers. So it really does allow our students to have options. We have students that are placed in pharmaceutical settings, in academia, in industry. And in terms of how do you pay for this, right? 95% of our PhD students receive tuition remission, a healthy stipend to be able to live comfortably, and health insurance. And then over 92% of our full-time MS students receive some type of scholarship funding, but I've listed here this website so that you can get an idea of the many different ways that students are attaining funding. And then in terms of due dates, so for the MS Biostatistics program, no GREs. We found that even when we tried this prior to COVID, that the GREs were not necessarily predictive of how successful our students are. And we know that there are barriers when you start thinking about standardized tests. So we do not include that in our decision-making processes at all. International applications have to come in prior to June 13th, but regular decision is July 1st. And similar to other programs, we have the same types of requirements, grades in terms of transcripts, personal statements, letters of support, 2 semesters of calculus, and at least 1 semester of linear algebra. And then for the PhD, similarly, no GREs. The deadline there is December 15th. And it's somewhat similar in terms of the rigor, because we know that when students are coming into our PhD program, they can come straight from undergrad or they can come right from an MS program. And I'll end here in the city of Philadelphia. I was born and raised in the city of Philadelphia. It's the mural capital of the world. We have the best cheesesteaks, home of the Liberty Bell. Art, history, and culture is unmatched. And then on top of that, if you love cities like I do, we are close to other major cities, New York City, Baltimore, DC. With that, I will leave you all here. My information, please reach out, lpp22@drexel.edu, and then our website is listed here as well.
Great, thank you so much. And so maybe just a quick, this has been a question that has been raised for a couple of different programs, but I know everyone has a different perspective on this. And so maybe a question that's been asked several times to other people, but would be interested in kind of hearing your perspective on this is, what can a student do as they're applying to help them stand out and make their application competitive as possible?
Right, that's a great question. And I think that there are 2 things that come to mind. That personal statement that students are spending time writing, the personal statement allows us as a committee to really see how you can stand apart, right? We can look at objective measurement metrics like what's on your transcript, even before when we were looking at GREs or other types of scores. But at the end of the day, what you're writing in that personal statement allows us to make a more educated and informed guess about why you think it's a good fit at this particular institution, and for me at Drexel, and how you see yourself in terms of the types of research that you want to be engaged in if you're on the PhD side. If you're on the MS side, wanting to be able to at least articulate that you have some plans to be able to engage in what's going on in the department. I think that that's one area. I think a second area, computational skills, if you come in with that type of exposure outside of the mathematical only or probabilistic and statistical based courses, that continues to make you that much more competitive. So students that are coming in with Python experience, students that are already coming in knowing R, knowing computer science aspects, I think that that tends to put students somewhat more at a competitive edge.
Great. Well, Dr. Tan, are you?
Yes, I was just going to add to that point because it's a common question that, so we help students that we have encouraged some of the master students if they're applying for PhD to get into research. So when we do our PhD admission, if we see the applicants who have actually done very good statistical methodology research, they have play a significant role, vital in those issues. They can submit. They can even attach submitted manuscript, and or if they want to, right, or even a publication, that would be really make them stand out, because everybody, almost everybody, the applicants we received to our PhD program, so we're about 60. Almost everybody have a master's degree. So to stand out is so we need to do something additional.
Yeah, great. Well, it looks like we are close to out of time, and so I know this has been a marathon session, and so thank you so much to everyone for sticking with us here, and thank you so much to our speakers who are sharing their time and their valuable insight for everyone here. So thank you to Dr. Tab, Dr. Shobin, Dr. Kazar, Dr. Ma, Dr. Korostashevsky, Dr. Booth, Dr. Inouye Rodriguez, and Dr. Nayak as well. So I know this is, I hope this has been a really valuable session for each of the students. And I know the people who are on this call and are here because they want to help. So many of them have provided their email and contact information. So yeah, so if you, as kind of you are going through the application process and you have questions, feel free to reach out to those people as well. All right. Well, we will end here. And again, so thank you for everyone for your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.